Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It's Christmas
Tomorrow?
Eve. Tomorrow is Christmas. And so if you're listening to this podcast, maybe you're in your car driving to family, finishing up the last minute shopping. I am, unfortunately, always someone that Christmas Eve I have to go into a store and get something that was forgotten. So if you're like me, hi, thanks for letting us hang out with you. We just wanted to kind of come in, process where we are at, and share what it looks like and how we stay connected during such busy seasons. Also, as you heard, we have a sick kid at home. 'Tis the season. Mm-hmm. And so you may be hearing him in the background. Welcome to the Connection Codes podcast. This is the podcast where we break open the emotions that take us from being disconnected to connected in our relationships and in ourselves. I'm your host, Tera Wages, and joining me today is video producer, pilot, my most beloved human on earth, Wes Wages.
So glad to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got to come up with a script when Glenn and Phyllis are not here. Typically, if this is your first podcast listening, we have like a whole script that we do, and it's typically our founders, Dr. Glenn and Phyllis Hill. But today, I have coerced my amazing husband. He's come on the podcast a few times, and Wes, people love you. People do not like me.
Oh, that is not true.
Wes, you've read the emails. It's fine.
I have. But you have
people in person.
One negative
like
email
me.
that'll.
No, it's not one negative email. It's been a few. But
I think you're doing a fantastic.
People love you. And so I'm so glad that you are here. And thank you for being willing to come on.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
You ask me anytime. Although I love when Glenn and Phyllis are here too.
Well,
that's some good stuff.
Totally.
You know.
And you actually came in today with several really great podcast topics that I cannot wait to have you back on and us go through. They just didn't feel like they applied in this moment for Christmas Eve.
Okay.
So Wes will be back. You wanted to talk about how to have the best sex in
2025.
Yep. And some areas that men may be missing on.
Where men are missing and where men are doing great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then talking about the messages for men that they receive in sex. That's a conversation I still want to have with you as well. But I would love to start by doing the core emotion wheel with you. This is the 4-minute tool that Dr. Glenn and Phyllis created that teaches us not only how to re-identify, process our emotions, but how we can stay connected.
Yeah.
And that's what this entire episode is even about. So you want to do it with me?
Of course.
Okay. You want to go first? Or you want me to?
Oh, I'll go first.
Okay.
I love this.
You can show it. We have, come on and adapt.
I don't know if it'll change, but this is basically a core emotion wheel that one of our sons made.
Yes.
And he just made his own.
Yeah, I just
and it says,
grabbed it off his wall.
Feeling of the day.
Aw.
Now he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, he has all of the 8 core emotions, but he looks like he has a 9th little emoji bracket here.
Oh, he put the emojis.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm feeling joy for Christmas season. Christmas and family look very different for me now with kind of like a new family-esque. Mm-hmm. I have joy in that. We're going to see some new family, like where they're at, where they are. Looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Relaxing for a bit and then possibly flying. So feeling shame for not getting some work stuff done and prioritizing some flying stuff, time. But I just feel some shame for there. Feeling guilt. I'm feeling guilt for not helping as much wrapping gifts. One of the things this year, we have gifts under our tree. This is the first year ever.
Yes.
I don't know, it's super important for you.
Yeah.
And I want to be there and involved, but I know it's important for you, but I just haven't wrapped any of the gifts that are under the tree. You've done all of those. And last night you were like, hey, can you wrap those 2 gifts? And I didn't do that. And you did it first thing this morning. Felt guilty about that. Feeling fear of, I guess, kids and sickness. You know what I mean? It just seems like every winter that happens. And so that keeps us from a lot of activities, but feeling fear of that. Lonely, sometimes flying by myself. I enjoy flying with other people and everything. But when you're by yourself, I both love it, but also feel a sense of loneliness. That's always there.
Yeah.
Feeling sad that, is there empathetic feelings? I'm feeling sad that Milo here Well, he didn't get Sonic, and he wants Sonic desperately.
Yeah.
Sad that we just can't go get it for him, whenever he wants, when kids want anything they want to at all times. Feeling hurt that any of the podcast topics I mentioned, you didn't want to do those today, understandably, but I felt a little hurt there. And if I didn't do anger yet, did I?
Nope.
I think I was feeling anger last night. You have like a Sunday ritual where you get bath time. And so I was playing a card game with the kids, and that is so frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just, I had anger that like they'd be reading a book and then just not even realize it's their turn. I'm like, guys, just pay attention, please.
Yeah.
So I felt a little anger in that. Also joy at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been frustrating for us a little bit.
Yeah.
Playing these card games with kids.
Get that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I will start with shame. Shame that I opened the podcast by saying that people don't like me. Yeah. Because people do like me, and I want to put that energy out into the universe instead. So shame that I let the very few voices make such an impact on me compared to the many beautiful and kind messages and voices. So shame that I did that. Guilt. I feel guilt. There is a specific task that I'm supposed to do every single day for work, and I don't. I do it sometimes, and I hate doing it. And so I just feel guilt that when I look at my spreadsheet to see when it's done, and I know I have a meeting with a business coach tomorrow and be like, yeah, it's not done. So guilt over that. Fear. I definitely share the same fear. Kid sickness, once it starts, it really is intense. We have 2 Christmas parties this week. We're going out of town on Friday for Christmas with your family. So fear that it's going to mess us up.
Yeah.
Lonely. Yeah, I mostly process loneliness as far as my tasks, both work-related tasks and some like home, Christmas-related tasks, which you've done a lot this year as well. But we do them separately. And so even in that, it feels lonely. I like to go shopping with you, Sad. Definitely sad that we have a buddy that is sick over there. And I felt sadness when I was pulling this off of our other kids' wall because they used holes. Now there's 3 holes in the wall. And I just painted that wall this last year. And so I felt really sad doing that.
Get that?
Hurt. I cut my finger last night cooking, which there's a reason I don't cook. I hate cooking, and I did last night, and I sliced my finger really badly, and it
so sorry.
Really hurts.
Yeah.
And anger. Ooh, what is my anger? I haven't really felt a lot of anger recently that I know of. Anger, power up.
What is power up? So sorry, I shouldn't be
Anger talking. Is a driver. It tells you power up, move into action, What have I felt that towards? I probably need a little more anger in my life, if I'm being honest with you. I processed quite a bit of anger going into Thanksgiving and just some of the things that were triggering me and getting mentally prepared for. I had a lot of anger there.
Yeah.
And joy. Oh my gosh. I could just give an endless list of joy right now. 1, joy that you're right here. 2, even though he is sick, I just love hearing his little voice at home with us. And joy, he can hear us do this together. He calls it the feelings at night before bed. He goes, can we do the feelings? And joy that it's Christmas. We've had some really fun parties that we've gone to and still have a few more. And my house is all decorated and I am just loving it. So much joy. So thank you.
You bet.
Thanks for doing that.
Can we try with Milo? Let's see.
I didn't know if he was awake or not.
Do you want to do the feelings? You want some?
You want some ice cream? Would ice cream bring you joy, Milo? Yes. Okay. I get that. We'll get you some ice cream when we're done. Yeah. So that right there is actually a great example of what I wanted to talk about today. So often people start doing this work of using this specific tool. And I've seen this again and again in some coaching sessions that I've done lately where there'll be conflict. And I'm like, how quickly did you get to the wheel?
Totally.
And they're like, oh, we didn't.
So in those moments, it takes a little effort.
It does.
And that's tough sometimes.
Yes, it does.
That is tough.
It does.
And there are times where you and I will have that conflict. I know I need to say we need to do the will, but I don't want to because I know like it'll solve the problem. Like it really will.
Yes.
And just to let everybody know, I wasn't like a believer in this, to be honest with you, when we first started getting into this. But yeah, it works.
Yes. Yes.
So you do have to get over that little bit of pride. We have to dig deep a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you are new, because there's always that stage where like you're excited about something, so you'll do it a few times, you'll see the effects, and then you just kind of flow back into your old pattern. That's so easy to do. But when I'm thinking about this time of year and this season that we're in, I know that other families are operating very much like you and I have recently, where during the day we are at our separate jobs, at our separate tasks. And then at night we are both either putting kids down or online shopping, wrapping gifts, going to different networking and Christmas events. I mean, we're at like party number 8 this week or something. You've had events, I've had events. And so we're just kind of flying in opposite directions. And when you fly in opposite directions, it is very easy to get sharp edges with each other and to not feel connected.
Yeah.
And even last week on Friday, I do a group coaching call with some ladies. Hello, ladies. I love you. And even just like seeing their faces in my head, I felt so much joy. But the fear that I processed was that you and I haven't had much time together. So I could feel like this tension coming. You know, it's like this underground pitter patter that you feel. And if you can't get connected quickly, that can create a lot of explosions. It can create landmines. And we got some amazing time this weekend. I don't feel that at all anymore.
Yeah, totally.
But last week, even when we were kind of in the thick of it, there was a night that I could tell that you were needing connection. First, I want to commend you because I think society, like men are taught by society standards, if you feel that need for connection, to ignore it or to try to get sex or put that energy into something else. Like you stuff that feeling. And that probably comes from trauma that you're taught not to feel things and all of that. But you came and you sat down at my desk or like right next to my desk. It was probably 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm on my computer working or something. And you came and you sat down and you just said, hey, can we do the wheel? So like, I'm curious for you, 1, what sparked that? And 2, how did that moment help you?
Yeah. Man, I have a horrible memory.
I know, it's so
But
painful.
I do remember coming and sitting down in the chair and asking you like, hey, can we do the wheel? So in the moment, I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, I think there's just like you're saying, like we've kind of been going different ways recently just because of the busyness of life, which just happens. I mean,
yeah.
So I think I just, needed to feel connected. It is easy, and I have to really work hard to not have bitterness in those moments and being like, oh, you're choosing work or you're choosing the kids or you're choosing your friends right now over me. And so if I'm feeling that way, then like, okay, well, let's just do the wheel and it'll just come out naturally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of just like, cool, we'll cover the feelings and you're going to hear what I need to say through that.
Yeah. I am so glad that you brought it up because I think that is the common thread that happens for so many people during this season and then seasons like it in normal everyday life where
the bitterness of
the bitterness. Yes. And feeling like you're putting all of these other things above me. So then we get bitter and then that creates rifts or spikes in our relationship.
Yeah. And then like, what if all the bitterness was happened before? And then for Christmas, maybe you didn't get that thing that you've been hinting at for a while. It's just like, just adds to it all.
Yes.
It's like,
It does. It is very easy to then get sucked into that cycle. Because then what happens is if you had stayed in that state, not taken a hold of the tools and ignored that internal feeling of, hey, I need to go do this with her, then you would have eventually either shut down from me. That's typically your response where I'm the exploder of our relationship. But you would have shut down, which then I would have grown resistant to you because if you're shut down, I'm like,
fun.
Forget that. Yes. And then
Welcome
we're in
to the first 15 years of our marriage?
Well, yeah, 12 for sure. Yes. But yeah, we get stuck in that cycle then where it's like, I hurt you, you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you, so you're going to hurt me. Yeah. And then breaking out takes so much more effort and so much more time. So instead, which thank you, chose in that moment, okay, I can feel this like bitterness starting to creep up. So I'm just going to go and take time and be with her.
Yeah.
We probably only talked for like 30-ish minutes, maybe. Like we did the core emotion wheel first. What I love about that is it gives us the opportunity to connect really quickly. We're able to like really get to the root of it. So even starting the conversation with it.
Yeah.
Because then any logistics that could create discourse, you're doing that after. I've already seen your heart. I've already seen what's happening for you.
Yeah.
And where versus if you start with the logistics and you say something that's triggering to me, or I say something that's triggering to
like
you.
I have anger, or I'm just like, I'm mad you're going to so many Christmas parties.
Yeah. Or like,
versus
you've been gone every night this week.
Yeah. I'm feeling a lot of loneliness just because I want to be with you.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we just have to do things sometimes separately.
But it could even look like not something about me, but hey, have you wrapped those gifts yet? Just asking, hey, have you done this yet? Those are very triggering questions because
versus I fear that we're not going to get all the Christmas presents wrapped.
Right.
Yeah. Gosh, it sounds so different.
Yes. Yes.
The way we've communicated our entire lives of like, yeah, did you feed the kids?
Yeah.
Versus I fear that we haven't fed the kids right now and they're going to be up late tonight and we're not going to sleep. We're not going to connect. Yeah.
Well, even just starting with the wheel, let's use the example of the wrapping of the gifts. If you had gotten to yours and you're like, oh, I feel guilt, I haven't done that yet. I hear that. Now I feel identity because I'm not the one that brought it up. You remembered that it still needed to be done. And I can see your heart in it. And even if you didn't mention it at all in your wheel, now we're on the same team. So 5 minutes later, if I say, hey, have you wrapped the gifts yet? That question is not going to hit you in the same way that it would have 10 minutes earlier because we're in a connected state.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, literally last night, you went and took a bath and you're like, hey, we have 2 gifts that need to be wrapped. And I still have a lot of guilt because I didn't do that. Honestly, like I forgot a little bit until this morning and then I saw you wrapping them. So that could have easily been, well, here's what could have happened. If I hadn't processed that with you right now and I see you wrapping more gifts, I'm just going to feel that guilt is just going to grow and it's going to grow and it's going to grow. And then I'll probably react in a way that like, it's just going to make you mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When I'm not even upset about the gifts.
Yeah. Yeah. But that guilt's just going to grow in me. So then it's going to turn to anger a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I just feel maybe that you're going to respond. Maybe I feel that you are angry at me for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a great example because that is what we did for so many years. That's what so many other people are doing. You feel guilt about not doing something. And then instead of knowing how to communicate it, you get angry 24 hours later about something totally unrelated. But you just
probably just angry at me because I didn't wrap the gifts. You know?
Right. Well, but even you just felt this tension in your body when I'm not even thinking. When I wrapped that this morning, I had joy in it. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that you didn't do it.
Yeah.
And that is the place that so many people get stuck because we assume one thing about the other person and then we get knocked off course, as Dr. Glenn says. And then now we are battling each other. And so in these times, for you just to take that pause and say, hey, can we just do the wheel? The fastest you can get to the wheel, the better off your conversation will go and the more connected you will stay even in these seasons of tension.
Question. Okay, so I know the will is the answer for that. So would you guys recommend, like in the moment, can I just say, ooh, I see you wrapping that gift, right? Can I just say, oh, I'm feeling some guilt that I didn't do that last night and you're doing it right now?
Yeah.
Or do we have to like do the whole wheel?
No.
Okay.
That's the end result. So you and I are at the level now where we just say it in the moment. And I would say we get good at that. I think we're hitting it like 92%, where we actually do say it in the moment. And so that is the long-term goal to get to that point. But there are still times where when you feel bitterness coming in, you feel tension in your body, it's probably more than one emotion happening, or you just need to feel connected to me because we haven't spent time. That is when the wheel is really, really handy to like throw that down and say, let's do the whole thing right now.
Yeah.
Because we may be missing on something.
Yep.
Or if we are already in tension, then throwing the fastest, which that's when it's hard to do. I get it. We see you. We've been there. But the faster you can get to that, the better.
Yeah.
And it makes me think this week, this is a great example. And I have fear that you're not going to remember it, y'all. Wes's memory is so bad.
It was great at times.
It's awesome for you. But we had a moment one morning and we were in the morning hustle and bustle, getting the kids off to school. And there was something happening for you and you made like a sexual joke to me. You did something with a sexual innuendo and I did.
Oh, I remember exactly.
Okay. Of course you're going to remember this one.
Yeah.
And I completely missed on it. Oh. Not only did I not respond, I responded poorly and you lost identity.
Oh,
would you say
I just say what it was?
Oh, I don't know. You can.
My fly was down.
Yeah.
And you said, hey, your fly's down. And I was like, are you going to come zip it up? And you're like, no.
Yeah.
And you walked away.
I'm sorry. No, I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it just, yeah. And I was already feeling like sexual loneliness, you know what I mean? So that was just the nail in the coffin. I had a ton of like,
loss of identity.
Shame, identity. Yeah.
Yeah. What all did you have?
Oh, in that moment?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Was there any, I don't know if there's any joy. I mean, yeah, a lot of shame. I'm like, ooh, she doesn't think I'm attractive. Do you know what I mean? She won't even like zip my fly up. Am I like gross and nasty or something like that? Guilt for, I mean, let's be real. I mean, in that moment, I was feeling guilt like, oh, I haven't worked out in a while, you know, fear that, yeah, you didn't find me attractive or anything like that. And lots of loneliness in that moment. Yeah. And this is all just because my fly was down.
It's such a simple,
Dude, it's so simple, but it's just like all in that moment. Here's the deal though. That morning I was processing like some loneliness. So that was just you doing that. It was like, boom. And you didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is tough. When we don't let these things in our thoughts come out, it's hard to navigate with each other.
Totally.
But those were most of them. Yeah. I mean, there was hurt. Obviously, the hurt, sadness, and anger go along with that.
Yeah. Know? Yeah. But that's a great example that in that moment, all of those emotions hit. And it's also a great example of why logistics don't matter. Because some of you are listening right now and you're placing judgment on that small example of like, are you kidding?
Like on me or you?
Both of us. Yeah. On both of us. Yeah. Some people are judging you that like you got that upset because she wouldn't zip up your like that meant that much to you. And then other people would be placing judgment on me to be like, you're not going to slow down and just do that simple thing. And logistics in that case seem small. They seem stupid. They don't seem important. But to hear, no, I was already battling loneliness that morning. And now I feel hurt and I feel shame. That is where we can connect. That is where we can see each other because every listener can understand what it feels like to feel shame sexually with their partner. Mm-hmm. I would imagine, I shouldn't say every, 99.9% of our listeners have experienced sexual loneliness in some way with their partner. On my side of it, there are people listening that are like, oh yeah, I can understand the fear of not being ready on time, that your mind is all of these other places and that you have fear that you're just hustling through the morning and getting things done. Mm-hmm. So what happened though was this little guy ended up asking us both to drive him to school, which we don't normally do. And in the car, your energy was off for sure. I could tell your energy was off. And this is probably 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later. Mm-hmm. I said, are you going to love me forever? You know, like I was just fishing to like try to break the ice of like, your energy is bad. And you said, yeah, I feel really hurt. You know? I was like, ooh, okay, what's happening with the hurt? And then we processed it. You shared with me what was happening for you and you processed it out. But then you said something. You said, yeah, I was hoping that you were going to notice my energy, but then I just decided I should just tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, obviously, of all people, you know that the faster we can just say what's happening for us, the faster we can connect.
But I'm telling you,
Oh, I hear this.
like,
Yeah.
that's tough. Even
It's
the pros, that is tough in that moment.
Yes.
So that's why it's like continually always good to work on this.
Yeah.
I know that I should just tell you what I'm feeling, but I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm wounded, right? As Glenn has said before, like I fell down the stairs and I'm wounded in the moment. I can't think of like, oh, probably need to do bandages, probably need to check and see like, how's my blood pressure? No, I'm like hurt.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of come back from that, regain control and say, okay, what are the steps that I need to do? You know?
Yeah, totally. And that is why, as the other person, I can have so much compassion for you and joy that you are willing to share because I know that it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it is. And I had tons of joy that the moment had only happened like 10 or 15 minutes earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So old us, that moment would have happened and, it would have eventually turned into that moment. We may have never even spoken of that moment again, but that could have been the fuse to lead into the next moment, to the next moment, to the next moment.
Then you forget
the initial thing, and now you're fighting for 2 weeks at a time.
Totally.
And saying things like, you never will have sex with me. I'm, really having a massive explosion.
Where is this even coming from?
Where is this coming from?
Oh, remember that time that my fly was down?
Yeah.
And you just turned away?
Yeah. Well, and for me, old me would have been like, are you kidding me? You're upset with me over that?
Yeah.
So again, just to go back to the whole point of this is that in these seasons, we are all walking around a little on edge. We all have extra things on our plate right now.
I wouldn't just say in the season. I would say that's almost.
But it's heightened right now. Mm-hmm. And I want to acknowledge that does happen all the time. But in this heightened season, people are experiencing deep loneliness, family wounding. Many of you may be driving to family right now and you're processing pain on your drive there. There is past wounding that just being home can stir up. Mm-hmm. There is a pressure for the breadwinner of the family, the provider, the financial provider of the family, just seeing your bank account drained at times, like during the season can feel really hard for the person responsible for making sure all of the Christmas magic takes place. That's a lot. It's a lot. And then often in those two roles, we don't see each other and how much the other person is done. So that creates exponential loneliness. And we're busy.
Yeah.
And so when we're busy, it's just easy to miss each other. And so I just really want to acknowledge for our listeners that in this time, one, to be extra tender with your partner and tuning into them. When you sense their energy is off, where I should have asked Wes, what's happening for you? Just asking each other, what is happening for you? How can I support you? What do you need with this? But then also really holding on to this wheel in this time at a higher level than you typically do.
Yeah.
Going back to it, when you feel that tension go, grab the wheel. When you don't feel connected, grab the wheel. When you haven't seen each other all day and you've barely spoken and now you're crawling into bed, grab the wheel. Because the morning you will be better off because you went to bed knowing what was happening with your partner.
Yeah. It might be a good thing to just say, hey, let's do the wheel every night.
Every night.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
For this week.
Yep.
We're able to process everything.
Yeah. And use it in a way that lets someone know what's happening for you without weaponizing it and using it against them.
Yeah.
That is always key. And that is my fear. If we're using it to be like, I feel anger because you suck, or it's not an attack. It is, I feel fear because we haven't gotten these things done yet. Or I feel sad because Christmas is expensive. It's a lot on my plate.
Yeah.
But really getting to your core and not pointing it at the other finger or pointing your finger at the other person is what I mean. So we just really wanted to share what we have done in this season. We have felt the roughness in how busy it is, but the two of us have been successful. Knock on wood, because we're not out of the woods yet. But thus far, despite everything going on, we have stayed really connected. We have had moments where we have missed each other, but we've gotten back very quickly. Mm-hmm. And we have really made that space to see each other in the short amount of time that we have been together.
Yeah, totally.
And that is all because we have made these tools a lifestyle. And to our listeners, I want to just take a second to say Merry Christmas to you. I have so much joy that you would spend this amount of time with us. And this last year with us, I hope that going into your family holidays that you will process, do a core emotion wheel even with yourself to process your pain and what is happening for you when you're with your family. The key is always to stay curious. I know that it's hard, but the more curious you can be, the more connecting you can be with those around you. I hope that tomorrow is magical for you in your homes, whatever that looks like, and that you will look for the joy. Because in holidays where there can be pain, it's easy to drown in the pain.
Yeah.
But I encourage you to process it out and look for the joy. So thank you. If you have not already left us a 5-star review, please do that.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you leave a comment? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Well,
need
it may
to
have been a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you can do 2. Can you do 2?
No, probably.
We'll find out.
But those reviews really help us so much. That would be an amazing Christmas gift to us to leave us a review. And as Dr. Glenn and Phyllis always say, Wes, are you going to do it?
You need this.
You deserve this.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Love you.
Love you.